Another sort of high-end layer 7 type of service is distributed computing. Distributed computing is when independent computers across a network or the internet are used to accomplish a single goal. Now, each independent computer that we use that is part of our network of computers is called a node. And here are some characteristics of those nodes. First of all, they are independent. There's no shared clock. They're all completely different computer systems with their own clocks. There's no shared memory. So we're not talking about inside of one computer. We have something called concurrency, in that these computers are all working on the task at the same time. Now, they're not synchronized the way that they would be with a shared clock, but they're all working on it generally at the same time. And then there's some heterogeneity or loose coupling of these things. That is to say, these are indeed independent computers that are coupled only by the software, the networking software that synchronizes the jobs and hands out the jobs. So this computer gets a part of the job and this computer gets a part of the job, and so on. And of course, they work typically across a network. Here are some examples. Database server farms. So if I have 8 different computers and they're all providing database services, they're synchronizing with each other to share the updates in that database. However, if every computer in my organization went out to just one of those database servers, it would get clogged up. But by sharing the load in this farm, we have a distributed computing example. Active Directory systems, where maybe I have an Active Directory system in New York, another one in Seattle, and another one in LA. Then they all contain the same information. They replicate periodically, but they can serve their individual group of computers independently. Research computing, sometimes, in fact, there's an interesting video, and I can't find it again. I was looking for it, where a biology researcher, actually, I think it was a drug company or genetics research facility, and this guy came up with a game that, by people playing this game, it was actually solving genetic problems that then he could take the best of and replicate in his lab. And it was solving real-world problems through this gamification and using the computing power of all these different computers in order to do that. Peer-to-peer file transfers, which we talked about very early in one of the early slides in Module 6. That would be an example of distributed computing. Blockchain, so things like Bitcoin and so forth, are a ledger that's kept by multiple computers all over the world. And so this computer keeps this little bit of the ledger, and another computer keeps another little bit of the ledger, and of course they're replicated. And so that's an example of distributed computing.